Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to calculate the landing zone for some of our horizontal wells, and we're going to evaluate the percent end zone and the feed end zone for those wells, and then we're going to display some of that on the map. Let's get started here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate the landing zone, and we're going to do this in a flow. So I'm going to right click and say new flow. And we're going to call this landing zone. We'll just call this landing zone in here. I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to say new. And we're going to start off with a points input. And in this points input, we're going to select our process deviations. We are then going to use the zone lookup tool. And this tool, we need to give it our structure grids. We need to give it our well headers, and then within the structure grids, we need to select which structure grids we want to use here, and we need to select these in order. So I am going to select each of my grids here, making sure that I keep them in the correct stratigraphic order. Once I've done that, we need to then evaluate the landing zone, and that's what the landing zone analysis tool does. Now the only option we have to set here is what do we consider as a horizontal well. And so in this case, I'm saying if it has an inclination greater than 80 degrees, we'll consider it for our analysis. Now there are a lot of vertical wells in here, and I really don't care about the results for the vertical wells. So I'm going to do some filtering here. And I am going to filter by this flag if it was evaluated. And I am just going to set that to true. So I'll just type in true with a capital T and say create true. And then I'm going to end with a points output. And I'm going to have it create a file called landingzone.points. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to run this flow. And, once again, come up here and click the run button. It will open up the jobs menu here, and this flow will run. Now this should only take less than a minute to run. Even if you have several thousand wells in your deviation survey, this will still be a relatively fast process. Okay, and we see there that our landing zone flow has finished. And we now have this landing zone points here. And I'm going to open this, and you'll see what it gives me for each of our horizontal wells. And there aren't that many in the project area that we have. We have our landing zone, the percent in zone, the number of feet in zone, and the evaluated lateral length. So, for example, here we can see, we've got mostly wells that are in the Carlisle formation, and they've typically been kept 100% in zone, although there are some exceptions. Let's say we wanted to visualize this on the map. What would we do here? Well, what we could do is we could come over here to our map, and we could add those points. So we've got the option here for, let's say, a points scatter plot, and we can select those landing zone points. Now it asks us, where do we get the latitude and longitude from, or where do we get the coordinates? We can have it get those from a set of wells. We'll say the API column is API, and let's say we wanted to filter this down to wells where the that have been where the landing zone is the Carlisle formation. And then we want to put the label on there, and the label, let's say we want total feet in zone. Then we can click add. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this to the top, and I'm going to, for clarity, I'm going to turn our cross sections off here. And I'll zoom in, and we can see that the horizontal wells in this area have been drilled in here, and we can see what the footage in zone is. So that's a pretty interesting capability here where we can rapidly identify the landing zone for all of our wells, calculate things such as feet in zone and percent in zone, and then we can add that to the map. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that we added this by doing a lookup to the well bore. We do have one additional option here, which is we could add in the well header information into our landing zone analysis flow. And to do that, all we would do is we would add this merge well headers tool, and we would simply put that in here, and you know, we'll select our headers, and we'll say on a missing well, we're going to drop the input row here because we don't want to have a bunch of empty rows. And we'll include our wellhead latitude and longitude as well as our bottom hole lat and long here. And all we need to do is rerun this flow. It's going to write it to the same output here. And then we can use that in our .map. So we'll just let this flow run. Okay, and now that that flow has completed running, we'll come back here to our map. We're going to edit this layer, and we can say we want to now position these by the lat long, and we can choose our, let's say, our bottom hole location. So let's say I want to write this to the bottom hole lat and the bottom hole longitude. I'll leave everything else the same. I'll hit apply, and you can see it has now moved those points so they correspond with the bottom hole locations. And you know, if we wanted to look at this with all of the previous wells, you know, we could remove that wells with filter list, and now we can see, hey, these are the wells that we calculated the landing zone for. Now you'll notice there are other horizontal wells here on the map. Those are ones that we did not have the deviation survey for. We only had the deviation survey for a handful of wells in this area. So those are the ones that we have the values and the annotations for. All right, well, I hope that was interesting for you. If you need help with the landing zone analysis, you can email us at support@danomics.com. Thank you.